Hey everybody, this is an introduction to a match between myself and Machiafish. Um, it's with the latest release of TRP 0816. Has a lot of fixes. I apologize for our previous match ending early, and actually there was another match before that that never really made it. Basically because we found in the later game and mid game some major imbalances. So as I made this recording, we're actually getting close to starting 1943 in our current game. I think I've taken care of all the major imbalances. There's a couple of small ones, tweaks that I'm making for an 817 release, which will be out probably about a month or so after these videos start showing up. The first video will be coming out on Christmas Day. Um, so it's kind of like you can think of it as a gift to everybody, as a Santa coming in, so you guys can all see it. I'm hoping it'll help people with strategies on how to handle it, because there's a lot of people are saying, well, the allies are overpowered, the Axis are overpowered, or you can't move the lines, can't do certain things. Um, and then you can watch and see how things are. And combined arms, I say it over and over again in the Discord channel, but some people just doesn't sink in the combined arms. And you can watch me in the video as I rotate the units. There isn't just a specific path. You have to kind of look to see what is going to give you the best results. Look at the unit's morale, because when it gets down to a certain point, like below 20 or 30%, there's not much of a point anymore lowering its morale anymore. So, you kind of see how I'm doing all of this stuff. Um, I think you guys will enjoy it, especially towards the later years. I will say, give you some heads up. You will hear me constantly say over and over and over again, my strategy in the earlier turns. Um, I just to basically kind of put the cat out the bag. I take that strategy that I say I'm going to do for like the first 30 or 40 turns of the game, and I wrapped it up into a little ball and tossed it in the trash because nothing, nothing went according to plan or how I hoped. So I made some decisions early on based off of my initial plan, which then it's going to cost me towards the later end of the game, second half of the game. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because it's going to hurt me a bit. But overall, it was still fun. I had to try. I had to try to do these certain things, and you'll see. I hope you all get a laugh out of it. Just like sometimes you'll see my frustration on the face, and I'm just kind of like, oh, again, nothing happens. I feel like what's it uh that movie. I can't even think of it now. To Blave, some people will know that as soon as they say the line. Um, but great line. It's just so repetitive, the strategy, and how I just eventually just said, screw it. I'm not gonna even try anymore. I don't even pay attention to it. But overall, great game. I think you will see, especially in the Pacific, people who like to play the Axis. You see how I prepare for Pacific War. Um, Keep in mind you will see decisions that are made, and I can talk about them now because it's free open. But one of the version things that are major for the Allies is you have to decide whether you want your fleet located at Pearl or not. If you say yes, the United States gets 5 mobilization points. But there's now a 10% chance for your carriers to be located at Hawaii. So it's very important as the Axis player to keep that in mind, looking for that event. Does the United States player move their fleet to Pearl? The battleships will always be there. And right at the Hawaii main island, they'll have one fighter and one maritime bomber. So they'll always be there too. The Allies, the Americans cannot move it. In fact, there's a message that says there, do not move these units because you will get negative mobilization. So they have to stay, those units have to stay there. So they will definitely be there when you attack Pearl. The one that's out is the 2 carriers. You don't know whether they're going to be there or not unless they definitely won't be if they say no to relocate fleet in Pearl. But then the U.S. is sacrificing a bunch of production. But on the other hand, with all that production they're sacrificing, they're getting the I guess you could say security blanket that the carriers are definitely on the West Coast and they're definitely going to be safe. Um, it's a judgment call. the American player, the Allied player, kind of has to look at it and kind of say, hey, where am I at? What's going on? Do I really need the extra 5% production? I think in some cases the answer is yes. Historically, you can say the United States did do that. And the United States, people who actually analyze Pearl know that the United States got very lucky that the carriers were out at sea nearby, but they were out at sea and totally avoided Pearl, and it was by accident, not planned. So, it's a Russian roulette. You just don't know. You gotta give it a shot. So you'll see that. You'll see how I prepared for a massive Pearl Harbor, because I wanted to make sure that if those carriers showed up, that I was going to destroy them. Um, Instead, basically, I just wiped out everything that was there, and you'll see that in the videos. But you also see how I did the whole Pacific and moving around and preparing for massive amphibious invasions everywhere. It takes a lot of time to prepare for that first wave. The Japanese player, a lot of players, they send so much MPP into China, they neglect the Pacific, and by the time you get to the Pacific, you're short. You just don't have enough MPP. You got to start planning almost a year and a half. So basically, by mid 1940, early 1940, early to mid in that area, you need to already start paying MPP for the Pacific. You need to start upgrading the units, building every one of your carriers, all of your destroyers, adding a few battleships. If you see, I'll have like 7 battleships in there, and they came in handy on island invasions, because that's what I designed them for when I made the mod. The battleships help you invade islands. I took out Guam quite easily because of the battleships that I had, which freed up my carriers. So I didn't need carriers for Guam. I had all my carriers go out to Singapore and Hawaii, to focus on sinking every ship imaginable that I could find. And you'll see how the strategy works out. And it gave me, as of today, the historical freedom that Japan had that entire first year of the war, which was they totally dominated the Pacific, and the American player could do nothing except watch and try their best to slow down. I think there's some things that made my life a lot easier in the Pacific, which my opponent did not do, and you'll see those as the video goes on, and you can compare it to my other video when I played the Allies and I played the Americans, and what I did to prepare to try to slow Japan's advancement down in the Pacific, which actually kind of worked. Take a look, and I think overall you'll enjoy this. You'll pull out a lot of strategies, and you'll see all of the mixed and combos. The most important rule: patience, patience, patience. If you try to go for the kills too fast, there's a few times I did it and I paid the price. But when you sow patience, 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 most of the times it's just the after effect, not the immediate effect. Oh, and one other note: North Africa. It's been a blast. We have gotten a back and forth in North Africa. So it's happening the way I envisioned it. It's a lot of fun. There's been I gotta say, I love playing Machiafish because he sort of thinks like me. The goal of the game is to have fun, and it's not necessarily to just destroy your enemy. It's about having fun. And in North Africa, it's turned into quite a, especially that area between what Eastern Libya and El Alamein. It's going back and forth type of thing. I advanced. He pushed me all the way back. He was pushing me really hard. Then the Pacific War started, and then I was able to start pushing him back. So, and the reason is the British had to move some units over to help in India and Burma area still. So it kind of had this historical back and forth. So I think all of you will really get some enjoyments out of it. He kept most of his strategic bombers in the UK, and just doing an air campaign, which a lot of people neglected. They're like, oh, let me just go for supplies, bomb supplies, bomb supplies, bomb supplies. And the way I showed it to Machiafish is I showed him the math. If you get a city that's 10 MPP or just a regular industrial center, the ones in the main countries are usually 20, but the other outliers are like basically size 10. Let's just say is 10 MPP. If you knock it down to 0, 1 per turn goes up. So it's not just you didn't just destroy 10 MPP. You destroyed something like 80 MPP if you knock it down to 0, because it's got to heal up. And if you keep it down, it's got to heal up. If you're taking all of those bombers, and think about it, and think about this. If you're bombing the mines, let's say in Germany and in France, and you're bombing all of them, that's almost, not quite, an armor corps. I would say it's closer to a motorized division, maybe a mechanized corps. But it's that per turn that you're taking away from the Germans by bombing that. Now, if you take all those planes and you move them to Egypt and you just bomb the supplies, well, okay, so you're preventing them from moving. Well, now it's a lot harder because there's so many other places. But if they retreat too far back, what do you do? And that's one of the things you'll see in the game is at one point you see I retreated because I was trying to get out of range of the bombers in Egypt, which my strategy worked. I got out of range and he came to me, and then we kind of had an even playing field. He had bombers that could sort of reach, and then I had bombers that were coming from Greece and Crete and coming down and trying to help out. And we're going into this back and forth thing. And in one of the latest episodes, I even did the mathematical formula because we're about getting close to 1943 on the MPP advantage. And the Allies are making probably a good 800 MPP per turn more than the Axis do, which is what's supposed to be. And I'm mentioning all these things because I see way too many players use strategic bombers the wrong way. They just look at them as supply smashers rather than MPP smashers. You will also see in the game that once Japan got I guess everything I really needed in China, and the battle started slowing down because I needed to really reroute things to the Pacific, I go into a full bombing campaign, and I'm shutting out maybe 50, 60 MPP or more per turn from China. Just almost half the production is being bombed away, gone per turn. And the point of it is to keep China down so that they cannot fight back. It's going to take them a long time because they have to catch up in tech, because they were neglecting technology so that they can buy units to keep fighting me. And now they're behind and they're trying to catch up. So by me bombing all of this stuff, they can't attack, and they have to spend all their MPP on technology to try to catch up so then they can eventually attack, which means I don't have to pay attention to them until 1944 or even 45, or maybe not even for the rest of the war. Who knows? They'll be annoyance. They'll occasionally do some attacks, and they may occasionally move up. But I think overall you'll see that strategy works pretty well. If you can't conquer it, basically form a line, dig in, and once you get what you need, and then just basically shut the production down. So you'll see a lot of strategies, and I think Machiafish has learned quite a bit on my vision of the game. And every once in a while he'll throw the things in that I didn't think about, which are interesting. And then I have to kind of figure out, is there a balance issue? Is there not? Is it okay? So for example, some of the new things that are coming in the 817 releases, I toned down artillery versus armor and light armor, and same thing with rocket artillery. Armor needs to be more of an offensive weapon, not artillery. Artillery should be more of a defensive weapon and helping an offense to kind of go up. So you'll see that we're heavily reliant on artillery to move the lines, the front lines right now, and armor just gets devastated by it. So I did tone it down. So you're seeing it in this version, but in the next version, you'll see the damage will be a lot more toned down against armor. And I think that the separation I did between tactical and tank destroyers really worked, because you now see tactical focusing on infantry and everything, and they can't wipe out full armor corps. They can wipe out infantry units, but they're not going to wipe out full armor corps. And that's the point, is armor should not be that easy to take out, you know. And I guess if you concentrate the entire German Air Force on one specific infantry corps, you could technically wipe them out. I've done it, or almost have done it when I was trying to do a couple of advances. You'll see I use some tactics to try to get to the secondary line to destroy a unit that was behind the line, um, so that it'll help me in the later turns. Cost me a lot to get to that unit, a lot of planes getting damaged and stuff, but you'll see me doing things like that. But anyways, I hope you all enjoy it. Hope you like the banner behind me. And it's a combination of the AI generated with some modifications that I made to it. I thought it was pretty neat. This AI stuff is really awesome. I love it. So enjoy, everybody, and see you. I guess you'll start seeing me on Christmas Day.